On August 20th, 1977, a tiny spacecraft no bigger than a family car left Earth on a mission no one believed would last. Its name was Voyager 2. Designed to explore the outer planets for a few short years, it not only exceeded every expectation, it defied them. It crossed worlds, captured history, and drifted quietly into the void. But now, 45 years later, as Voyager 2 reaches the edge of the known universe, something has happened. It sent back a set of images and then it went silent. These final photos have left scientists speechless. Not just because of what they show, but because of what they might mean. And now, as a countdown ticks toward a date no one can explain, a question is spreading like wildfire. Did Voyager 2 find something? Or did something find Voyager? Voyager 2 wasn't built for this. Its cameras, primitive by today's standards, hadn't been used since its Neptune flyby in 1989. They were shut down to conserve power, a forgotten feature on a dying machine. But in early 2025, engineers at NASA decided to test them one last time, a routine recalibration, just a glimpse into the void. They powered up the imaging system, aimed it at the stars, and waited. For days, the images were empty, just specks of dust and background light. Then something appeared, a triangular shadow, faint, drifting across the edge of a frame. At first, it was dismissed. Just a data error, a cosmic ray. But the next frame showed the shape again. Only now it had moved. Analysts at JPL labeled it Anomaly X7. And what came next shocked everyone. With increased exposure, Voyager captured something massive, dozens of miles wide, glowing faintly in the infrared. It wasn't a natural shape. It had geometry, symmetry, and worst of all, it seemed to be facing Voyager. Watching it, the final frame received just hours before the camera went permanently dark showed a sudden burst of light, then static. The camera shut down, not from failure, not from power loss. It simply never turned back on. Voyager didn't die, not completely. Its core systems continued transmitting data. But then came another mystery. Just 72 hours after sending its last image, the spacecraft shifted orientation, not a minor drift. A 14 degrees eastward rotation, calculated, deliberate, and precise. In all its years of service, Voyager 2 had never changed course without being told. But this time, no command was sent. NASA engineers scrambled for explanations. A glitch, gyro failure, but the data showed otherwise. The movement was too smooth, controlled, and when its antenna repositioned, it pointed directly back to Earth as if trying to send a warning. Computer simulations were run, trajectory models were adjusted, but none could explain why a probe drifting silently through interstellar space would suddenly turn. Unless, of course, it saw something. Voyager 2 doesn't have a microphone, but it does have instruments. Magnetometers, plasma wave detectors, radiation counters, and shortly after its mysterious turn, those instruments recorded something new. A low-frequency hum repeating every 17 seconds. At first, it was background noise. Then, it started to resemble a pattern. A haunting pulse like a sonar ping echoing across the stars. NASA brought in AI specialists to decode the rhythm. Pattern recognition software isolated a binary stream. Ones and zeros embedded in the electromagnetic signal. When translated, it appeared to be a countdown. The numbers dropped with every loop. The final value. It ends on July 28, 2025. No explanation, no precedent, no known event tied to that date. Just Voyager drifting 12 billion miles away, transmitting a cosmic heartbeat. One that's ticking closer to something unknown. Behind closed doors, the panic began. Internal NASA memos now leaked revealed emergency meetings not just with scientists but with defense analysts, government agencies, observatories worldwide. Because if this countdown means something, it may already be too late. Some theorize it's just radiation. Others say gravitational lensing. But the timing, the shift in orientation, the images all point to something else, something deliberate. A few voices in the scientific community have started to whisper the unthinkable. What if Voyager 2 photographed something it was never meant to see? Something ancient, something still active, a relic, a machine, a presence. The fact that Voyager turned back toward Earth, transmitted a countdown, and then went silent has led many to one final terrifying possibility. That the probe wasn't just drifting anymore. It was being watched, and whatever it saw might be coming. In most deep space transmissions, image degradation is expected. Pixels drift, noise creeps in, entropy always wins. But not this time. The final image before Voyager 2's camera shut down wasn't just a pulse of light or static. It was something else. A frame frozen in distortion, intense whites bleeding into void blackness. But inside that chaos, analysts noticed a strange persistence. When filtered through various spectrographic layers, the image refused to degrade. It held structure where randomness should have ruled. Grid lines emerged, faint, mathematical, pulsing at harmonics consistent with Fibonacci ratios. At first, it was dismissed as compression artifacts, but frequency analysis showed something more coherent, a recursive symmetry that echoed across spatial dimensions. In other words, the image contained a feedback loop, something inside it was reflecting its own structure. And then came the most unnerving part. When overlaid with Voyager 2's previous trajectory, the framing of that final image aligned perfectly with its change in orientation. As if the image wasn't just a capture of what Voyager saw, but a directive toward what it was supposed to face next. Voyager 2 is a miracle of endurance, but it was never meant to survive this long. Its systems run on tech from the 1970s. 8-track processors, gold-plated circuitry, power measured in watts, not kilowatts. And yet, in the days following the countdown transmission, engineers noticed a bizarre pattern. Instruments that hadn't responded in decades were suddenly awake. Not all at once, but selectively. The cosmic ray detector, long dormant, blinked online. The tape recorder, a literal magnetic tape unit, spun briefly, logging unprompted data packets. Telemetry showed that Voyager wasn't just alive. It was reorganizing. Subsystems initialized without command. Prioritized logs shifted. All of it subtle. All of it intentional. But no onboard software explains the behavior. The last firmware update occurred over 35 years ago. So if Voyager is acting intelligently, it's not by our design. Either we underestimated the latent adaptability of a machine pushed beyond its limits, or something else is influencing it, something external. Most believe intelligence reveals itself through complexity, language, logic, calculation. But what if real intelligence doesn't speak? What if it echoes? A team at the European Space Agency began studying Voyager 2's magnetic field readings, looking for correlations with known cosmic patterns. What they found was chilling. The low-frequency hum Voyager had recorded during its final imaging run wasn't noise. It was harmonic, not random, not chaotic, but ordered. When compared against Earth's early analog broadcasts, a staggering pattern emerged. The pulse matched the timing structure of early human radio signatures, inverted. In other words, the hum reflected us, but in reverse, not a replay, a mirror. Some scientists now propose the unthinkable, that the pulse is not a message from another civilization, but an interaction with something that understands structure, not language, something that doesn't communicate the way we do, but something that knows we're listening. The countdown embedded in Voyager's binary pulse converges on one date, July 28, 2025. That date, just days away, has triggered debates across the scientific community. Is it a celestial alignment? A solar flare forecast? A hardware shutdown? But cross-analysis of space weather forecasts, planetary orbits, and galactic anomalies yielded no explanation. Yet, the date remains locked into the rhythm, repeating through every loop of Voyager's transmission. Several independent labs attempted to simulate the anomaly, sending mock signals back toward the spacecraft in hopes of disrupting the countdown. Nothing changed. Some now believe it's not counting down to an event, but to a response. That when the clock hits zero, something will happen. Not to the probe, but to us. And maybe, just maybe, it's not a warning. It's an arrival. Voyager 2 was never supposed to last this long. It was never meant to leave the solar system, never meant to reach interstellar space, and certainly never meant to send back a countdown. But it did. And now, as that countdown nears zero, we find ourselves staring at something we never anticipated. Not a technical failure, not a dying probe, but something alive with meaning, a signal, a pattern, a warning, or maybe a reply. Because when you add everything together, The image that won't degrade, the instruments that shouldn't work, the turn that no one commanded, the pulse that mirrors us in reverse. You get the sense that this wasn't Voyager's final act. It was its first contact. And maybe, just maybe, the moment we decided to turn the cameras back on, we opened a door we didn't know existed. A door not to another world, but to something far older, far colder, and far more aware than we are. And now that we've seen it, now that we've heard its rhythm, its structure, its intent, it knows we're watching. And maybe that was the point all along. Voyager 2 didn't just show us the edge of the universe. It may have shown us the edge of reality. If the story shook you even a little, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with someone who still thinks the universe is empty. And tell us in the comments, do you believe Voyager 2 discovered something artificial or something ancient that's always been there? Because whether it's a countdown, a message, or the universe's way of reflecting us back at ourselves, we're no longer alone out there. We've seen something, and now something is watching us too.